Just think, one day we're going to meet the disciples, the apostles, the 12 apostles. That'd be so cool. I want to sit down and ask them all sorts of questions. What was it like? And of course, we will see Jesus face to face. We actually see him in physical manifestation. We'll be able to see Jesus. Right now, we see him by faith. Of course, there are some people who've actually seen him in vision, like Paul did in the Bible, and my grandmother did. She literally saw Jesus when she got saved. She was a young girl, probably about 12, 13, praying in earnest, got in a beautiful vision and literally saw Jesus, and she saw nothing else except her running towards him. When she embraced him, when she hugged him, when she got to him, she came out of that vision. She was on the other side of the church in Tennessee, Appalachian Mountains. Very cool. All right, so I'm so looking forward to reunion with her and others, my mom, and also these guys right here. All right, into the study. Very cool. We've talked about this study before in Matthew chapter 10, but it's good to review and review and review because there's stuff that you can get from it. Plus, it's just good to keep it before us so that God can speak through his word to us. And this is what it says in Mark 6, verse 7. It says, he called unto him the 12. So here he is, and he's about to send them out here, 2 by 2s. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. And he said, and he called them to the 12 and began to send them forth. That word send is apostolos, which means apostles. And they were the apostles. 2 by 2, it's smart. One guy can help the other guy to discover things to say. When I go door to door witnessing, I've said this before, I always have a partner with me in order for that person can pray, and also I can pray, and then that person speaks and I speak. So it's wise to have that other person there, and for various reasons. Anyway, it says he commanded them. Oh, and then it says and gave them power over unclean spirits, over demons. It's very emphasized in Mark. He wanted us to know, he wanted the readers to know that was one thing of a priority of Jesus. It's been said 1/3 of, let me do 1/3 here. See if I can draw it real quick. Let's say we take a pie and cut it into 1/3. That sounds good, doesn't it? What, lemon meringue or chocolate or whatever. So here it is. We've got 1/3 of the ministry was Jesus preaching and teaching. I haven't figured that, I haven't studied this to see if this is true. But if you've got like a circle and then 1/3 be something like this, it'd be teaching, preaching. Okay, he did preaching and teaching. And then 1/3 of it was healings. I don't know if this is accurate. Healings. And then 1/3 of it was deliverance from demon powers. So he, in Mark's word, that he takes this one right here and he really emphasizes the fact that Jesus came to deliver people from demonic spirits. They're very, very present today. They didn't go away after the New Testament was written. And they're hidden and they're subtle and they're liars. And I've experienced them many, 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 many times. And I've also had power over them, which is cool. I've also been defeated by them. They got me a lot. They won some battles where they're not going to win the war. Let me go on. It says, and commanded them that they should, take nothing for the journey. I mean, not absolutely zilch, nothing, but basically nothing. Just get basic, just basic needs. And Matthew, he said, for example, in Matthew it says, don't take a staff, and he says, save a staff only. I think what it's saying is just minimum staffs, like you don't have a club, a staff, various things. No script, no bread, no money. Anyway, so he went, I'm going to show you a board in a second with these notes. He said he commanded them that they should take nothing for the journey except a staff only, no script, no bread, no money in their purse, hardly any coins. It's like a money pouch that they would have, that the people in the New Testament would have, like a belt with the money on it. And he says, be shod or be prepared with sandals, your shoes, and not put on 2 coats. You had an inner garment and an outer garment. The tunic is on the inside, and you have a cloak or coats on the outside. And what he's saying, usually during the heat of the day, you take off the outer one and you kind of wrap it around your waist, or you kind of hang it on your shoulder or something when it's hot. But, he said, don't take 2 of those. Oh, in the evening, sometimes it got cool. Kind of want a bigger jacket to cover you, a robe. Big thing. It's like a body tent. You have a tent here, kind of like a sleeping bag, sort of. But he said, don't bring 2. Just have the undergarment. Excuse me. What he's saying is, God's going to take care of you. You're going to find people that's going to be hospitable, and they're going to allow you to come into their homes at night. Trust God. It's really cool. And then it says, in what place ever you enter into a house, you go into a house, remain there, abide there, stay there, till you depart from that place. Okay. Let's say you go to a really nice house here, and you go to a little house here. Someone says, "Oh, come to my house, please." And these 2 are the apostles right here, and they go to a village, and you have this nice little house, and this guy says, "Oh, please come to me." He might be a poor man. I don't know, but he says, "Oh, please stay with me. Please honor me with your presence." And they go there. And then this house is a larger one, really nice, and maybe he's richer. And he says, "Why don't you come to my house? Why don't you come over here to my house? It is better and all that." Well, Jesus said, stay there. Don't go, "Ooh, this is better over here." That's going to hurt that guy's feelings. And then also jealousy could arise between the 2. He just say, wherever you go into a home, stay there. Just remain in that house. Don't switch places. Smart. Jesus is really teaching us some lessons here. If God's connected with certain people, you don't have to have other people that are rich or popular or powerful or something like that. Whoever God connects you with, stay with them. Unless God separates that or something, changes it. All right, so here we go. Let's go through these basic instructions real quick. And then we'll almost finish. Basic instructions is this: go. Go out. Now, they've been watching Jesus go, and they've been hanging with him for a year and a half, whatever. And now he's saying, it's time for you to go out. You've watched me enough, training you, and then you go. So as you're listening to the Bible and you know it, you need to start going and sharing the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. And share whatever you know. They didn't know everything, and you don't either, and I don't either. But God will help you and be with you. He sent them. That's that apostle that sent, apostelos. All right, then it says he equipped them. It says there he gave them power. He gave them power there. So he equipped them. Whenever God sends you to do something, he wants you to do something in your life, he will equip you. He'll use other people to equip you, like for education. And also he'll equip you with his own very power. Like he's equipped me to know the Bible and to study it and to share it with others and all. It was the Lord that equipped me, and he wants to equip you. He'll give you power there. Travel light. We already talked about that one. In other words, don't carry a bunch of luggage, suitcases, very light, not even 2 coats. And here it says, it reminds me of like Egypt. The list that is mentioned about them traveling light was the same list that God spoke in I think it's probably Exodus 12 about the Passover. And you're going to be traveling out there and travel light, a staff, sandals, and things like that. God will take care of you in the wilderness out there. I love God will take care of you. It's a very powerful statement, and he will. Like Egypt to the promised land, they went from Egypt to the promised land, and they didn't have much belongings and all that. They did get loaded up with what the Egyptians gave them. That God did predict that. But the point is, travel light. And it's kind of like a picture, maybe Jesus is giving a picture to the people watching these apostles that the promised land of the kingdom of God is traveling light as sojourners, as pilgrims, in this earth. Our home is up in heaven mainly, and it's not so much here. We're just here passing through. We don't have to carry a bunch of stuff. We don't have to have a whole bunch of materialistic things and all that. All right, anyway, very cool. Kind of a picture of the apostles, like we are representing the kingdom of God, where we don't have to have all this stuff stuff. All right, next one. Don't look for comfort. You're not going to be comfortable in all the houses that you're going to be there. And, whatever they give you, just be content, be happy, be thankful for whatever you do have. And you need to learn that, and I need to learn that, to be content, satisfied. You may not have a whole bunch of stuff. That's okay. Life is not about things, the abundance of things and all. So, that's not the purpose on this earth, to live as comfortable as possible. The purpose is working for Jesus. And so you're out there sharing the gospel. He's telling the apostles, you're going to go preach and all that, and take whatever you've been given and be happy with it. And don't look for a bigger place, a better place or something. Don't look for comfort. And that's why he said, like, not staying with the richer. It avoids jealousy among the villagers. I said that. You are missionaries. And it also keeps you from greed and lack of depending on God. If you're trying to get better and bigger and all that, then you're kind of greedy. You're trying to get more for yourself. And that's what he's teaching his apostles there. A good lesson for us to learn too. All right, then he mentions those who reject, move on. And that's where he mentions this right here. He says, and whoever shall not receive you. These apostles, most of the time, probably were received, but there might be places that they're not going to receive you, and they're not going to hear you, they're not going to listen. And then go ahead and depart from there. Don't stay there trying to convince them and all. They have a lot of other villages to get to. And he says, shake off the dust from your feet for a testimony against them. And it's basically, that's kind of like with the leading Jewish Orthodox Jews and maybe others, when they went to a foreign country and they came back to the Holy Land, back to Judea particularly, they would dust off all the dust. They would take their sandals and hit them together, probably getting all the dust, because they felt defiled. That's kind of an attitude, proud attitude. But they felt defiled, so they dusted off the feet and their robes and all that, like, I want to be holy again. I was out there. Or like if you went through Samaria or even Galilee, a lot of them were Gentiles. And so the Jewish people, not all of them, but some of them had this attitude, like dusting off. So he used their thing, and he said, what they did, to illustrate to the apostles that if people are rejecting you and say, we don't want to hear your message, go on, move on. He said, go on and move on. You go out and symbolically kind of say, well, you kind of go like this. Hopefully they'll come later, but right now I got to go on. Now, nowadays, God may have us do that in certain situations with people that you've tried and tried and tried, but most of the time, we're not traveling around. They travel. They had to keep going. And so we can wait patiently and love people and be patient with them and keep talking to them, or be real quiet for a while and all that, pray for them. And then God may change our hearts. And some of them may have changed our hearts too. But anyway, that's what he said, is just dust the feet from off your feet. Dust the dirt from off your feet. Okay. Those who reject, move on. And basically this whole thing is saying it's urgent. It's almost like an emergency. Hurry up, get out there, share, go village to village to village to village. See how many you can get within the next few months. See how many people. That's kind of the idea, like in the Passover thing, he said, make haste, hurry. Because that night, the Passover lamb was sacrificed. The next day, they were on their way to the promised land. Urgent, quick, get it going, hurry. And I think we need to have some of that feeling, a lot of it actually, in our hearts, that it's urgent for you and I to share with people around us. It's urgent. They don't know the Lord. Most people don't know the Lord, and it's up to us to help lead them to Christ. They don't have a future. They don't have any hope. They're not forgiven by God. They're under his wrath, his anger, the judgment. Oh, so sad. They've got to have somebody to help them, okay? And so the gospel, by the way, does one of two things. You hear the gospel, you get saved, or you hear the gospel and you're judged. Judgment comes. So here's a guy sharing the gospel, the good news of the kingdom, like one of the apostles. And some got saved, some it brought them judgment because they rejected the gospel. And by the way, in Matthew it says it'll be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than this. It's in some of the manuscripts there. But anyway, here it is. The gospel. So you share the gospel, and it's going to be up to them. You can't make people get saved. You share the good news of Jesus, and it's really their decision. And so Gospel brings either salvation, or unfortunately, it'll bring them judgment because they rejected it. If they said no to it and they said, I don't want to have anything to do with Jesus and all that. So salvation is like freedom. This is like a cage here. And people are locked in their sin and they don't know God and they're not free. They're slaves. So what God wants to do is free them. You know, the salvation, the gospel comes and helps reach people and bring them out of this. So if you receive Christ, you get saved. And if not, you receive judgment. There's a judgment day coming, and that's why he said it'll be more tolerable. Now there's an easier judgment for Sodom and Gomorrah, who were very evil, very proud, very rich, and other things. And the judgment day is coming, and the gospel is going to either make you or break you. If you give your life to Christ, you can get saved. If you don't, you're going to have judgment. Thus, these guys went out and they started sharing. I have a little bit more to say on that in the next video, so I hope you got something out of all that. Thank you for listening.